Stab 2? Who'd want to do that? Sequels suck.
So you're a liar.
Scream 2 was released in 1997, a year after the original. Many people believe sequels can't hold a flame to the original. Even Randy himself has said this, but others think they can. Today, we will see if Scream 2 can compete with the original. Let's get into it. Welcome back, I'm Sippin. Before we dive in, you know how it is, spoiler warning for the movie released in 1997. And if you have a movie recommendation, drop it down below and it might become the next video. Also, make sure to stay until the end as I have a special announcement. Now, let's see if this sequel can compete with its original. The movie opens up on a theater with a sneak preview of the new film, Stab, available tonight and tonight only. Stab is a film created based on the events of Scream, and get comfortable with them because they follow the sequels from here on out. But who plays Sidney? Surely it's not Tori Spelling, as that's who Sidney did not want to play her in the original.
They get Tori Spelling to play Sidney.
Well, damn. Anyways, a couple is here to see this sneak peek. Maureen Evans and her boyfriend Phil Stevens. As they get to their seats, we see plenty of references to the newfound fan base that'll surely never become toxic. Tons of people are dressed as the titular Ghostface, running around with fake knives. During the showing, Maureen goes up to get some popcorn, no butter, and a small Diet Pepsi. Yes, I remembered all that. Before she gets back though, Phil jumps out to scare her while wearing a Ghostface mask. Afterwards, he decides to go empty the tank. While he uses the John, he hears some tee-hee-hee type of noises, causing him to want to listen in. So he leans against the nasty, probably never clean stall wall and takes a knife to the ear. Ghostface comes back to sit with Maureen while wearing Phil's jacket. He plays the role pretty well until the opening kill happens on Casey Becker. Maureen notices Phil's blood and soon she notices hers, as Ghostface stabs her numerous times with a cheering crowd. She climbs onto the stage in front of the film where she falls out, dying with the crowd slowly realizing what's happening. I'm a big fan of this opening sequence, and while it's not my favorite by no means, I love that it sets up the future by introducing us to the world of Stab and its fan base. We catch up with Sidney, who has been getting prank calls. But this is 1997, it's no longer 1996. She has caller ID and is not afraid of busting it out. We are then introduced to her best friend slash roommate, Hallie. Hallie is trying to convince Sidney to join a sorority when they are interrupted of news of the killings. The scene changes to one of my favorite parts of anything Scream related, the classroom scene, where horror films and its rules are discussed. Cece Cooper, Mickey Altieri, Randy Meeks, and their best friends, Film Class Guy 1 and Film Class Guy 2, discuss whether the movies are inherently the root cause of serial killers. Does life imitate the films? Is the killers of this film trying to create a sequel? Well, Randy doesn't seem to think so. He even goes as far to say as sequels suck.
Stab 2? Who'd want to do that? Sequels suck.
Well, Randy, aren't you just so darn meta? They spend the next moment to discuss sequels that may or may not have surpassed their originals. Do you know of any? Has Scream 2 done it? Sidney and Randy go for a walk as they discuss whether or not it's happening again, when they are joined by the bane of Randy's existence, Sidney's boyfriend. Derek is a seemingly good dude, and I love most of the scenes he's in.
Hey, I think I love you.
I said most, brother. Let's calm down. We get a banger sweeping shot of all the cops and news reporters littering the campus. That includes our favorite reporter, Gail Weathers, as she meets up with her new cameraman, Joel. But before they can get any real coverage, they are interrupted by a local reporter named Debbie Salt. After she pushes the reporters away, they all, including our main cast, turn their attention to the police giving a statement on the ongoing investigation. During this, Sid sees our favorite awkward cop, Dwight Riley. Oh, Dewey the Dewdrop. Sidney runs up to greet him, where we learn he's there because he was worried about her after hearing the news. They go for a chat where they talk about Sidney's starring role in a play and how she's got a new boyfriend. But Dewey lets her know he's just worried about her and that he plans on sticking around to keep an eye on her. He plans on also talking to Chief Hartley, who, fun fact, is played by the in real life dad of David Arquette, Louis Arquette. Sid meets back up with the others, but just then a wild gale appears with Cotton Weary, the man that was originally accused with the murder of Maureen Prescott, Sidney's mother. She tries to get a sneaky interview in, but Sidney ain't having none of that and backhands her.
I choose backhand this time.
An amazing thing happens next. Just before leaving, Hallie asks if Joel got that on film in a smug tone, having Joel hit her with the, "Yes, I got that on film."
Did you get that on film? Yes, I got that on film.
I love how actor Dwayne Martin did that scene. So freaking good, dude. Cotton and Joel were both unaware that Sidney wasn't aware of the interview, so they are more or less caught off guard. As Gail storms off, she runs into Dewey, where they have a poor reconnection, where Dewey mentions all the times where she dogged on him in her book. Dewey, being the confidence king, walked away with the dub, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Later that night is our obligatory party scene. While they do their thing, we see Cece. She's on the phone with a friend while watching TV. She gets another call though, so she puts her friend on hold. She believes it to be Ted, but it is not Ted. She informs this man that she is sober sister, basically meaning she's the DD. But like, she could have still gone to the party, just don't partake in any of the drinking. Anyways, after a while, the caller asks if she wants to die tonight. Could you imagine if she just answered no? You want to die tonight? Hee. No. Oh, well, okay. Bye, I guess. Cece believes someone is in the house, so she calls campus security. But she gets scared by a fellow sorority girl. As she leaves to go to the party, she tells Cece to set the alarm, which Ghostface then politely reminds her to do so as well. She sets it and walks through the house. Out pops Ghostface from a closet. He chases her up the stairs, reminiscent of how Sidney mentioned in the first movie. She attempts to slow them down by throwing plants and even bikes at them, but she is still tossed off the balcony to her demise. We catch up with Sidney at that party I mentioned. She asks Randy what took him so long, almost like they want him to be a small red herring. Another fun fact, Shaggy, Matthew Lillard, is seen as a background partygoer in this scene. Before the troops are able to really boogie down, they are informed of the death of Cece. Derek tells Sidney to get their jackets so they can go home. We see Derek on the front porch waiting with Sidney, stopping in her tracks, hearing the phone go off. Sidney, being the nice person she is, she goes to answer it, but here's its Ghostface. She tells them to stop being a coward and to show their face.
Then why don't you show your face?
Poor choice of words there, Sid. She turns to see Ghostface at the front door charging her. Derek hears the commotion and meets her around back. He charges in looking for the killer, and soon after, so does Dewey. But all we see is Derek with his arm cut, in a spot that's not gonna have any real lasting issues.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
This begins to spread the seeds of distrust. We cut to the hospital with everyone involved, with the addition of Mickey and Hallie. Mickey doesn't help the situation by asking why would Derek go into the house. Afterwards, we see Dewey, Gail, and the chief discussing the victims. We learn they are copying the killer from the original. Maureen Evans, Phil Stevens, and Casey Cooper, all names of previous victims. Gail and Dewey regroup and decide to tackle some investigations together. Dewey gets a head start when some reporters, including Debbie Salt from earlier, ambushes Gail and begin hurling accusations at Neil Prescott and Dewey. Which is messed up because who knows, the killer could be among them. Mickey joins Derek and Hallie at their lunch table, accusing Randy of possibly being the killer. He gets shushed as Sidney pulls up with her cop buddies, Officer Richards and Officer Andrews. When asked his thoughts, Derek decides to take a note from Zac Efron and sing in the cafeteria. While it holds a special place in my heart, it becomes one of the corniest scenes in the franchise, and Mickey did not help this situation at all by standing up and starting a clap session. Everyone's cheering him on as he jumps around on the lunch tables. But like, let's be real. You get up and do this in real life, you will not be receiving no cheers or getting dapped up. It's not happening. But then Derek, during the standing ovation, gives Sidney his Greek letters, which is a no-no, and he will pay for that in the future. Dewey and Randy meet up to discuss killers and their motives. Randy believes they are out to make a sequel to cash in on all the new movie madness. So Randy lays out the rules a sequel has to follow. The rules are as follows. 1. The body count is always bigger. 2. The death scenes are more elaborate. Carnage candy. 3. If you ever want to become a franchise, never, ever, Dewey cuts him off. Dewey, come on, brother. We needed that third rule. I'm trying to see if Scream becomes a franchise, man. Randy suggests the killer, or at least one of them, is Mickey. He also suggests Hallie, which funny enough, in one of the fake scripts made up, had Hallie as one of the killers. Later, Sidney meets up with her drama teacher wanting to quit with everything going on, but he convinces her otherwise by telling her to use her strength and her pain to pull through. So they proceed with a scene rehearsal. It starts off well enough, she's killing it until she sees one of the masked performers looks to be wearing a Ghostface mask. She believes she's being attacked and it causes the rehearsal to stop. Dewey, Gail, Randy, and main man Joel talk about the killer. But when Gail's previous cameraman is mentioned, Joel understandably leaves. That's when Gail gets a call, but Randy picks it up. It's Ghostface. He talks to the killer as Gail and Dewey run around looking for the caller. Randy stands next to a news van as he badmouths Stu Mocker and Billy Loomis. An angry Ghostface then grabs him and yanks him into the van, ending him. Later, Sidney believes the killer to be in the library due to an instant message she received. So the officers have her stand to the side while they look. But then Cotton pops out,
It's free real estate.
asking for her to join him in an interview with Diane Sawyer. He gets heated when she says no, causing him to be arrested and questioned. Hallie leaves with Sidney as the officers prepare to take them somewhere safe. As for Gail, she gets hounded by Debbie Salt again. And then her cameraman Joel quits and leaves in order to survive, which, can we mention, this is the smartest thing he could have done. Joel on top. As Dewey approaches, they have a chat and come to the realization that the crowd footage Joel shot could reveal the killer relishing in their kills. So they head to campus in order to view the tapes. While watching some footage, things get a little hot and heavy, but then someone changes the mood by playing their own footage. Footage shot by the killer. And think about this. Who do we know walks around with a camera recording random things? Dewey sees them in the projector room. He runs up to them, but they are gone, and instead attacking Gail. Ghostface chases Gail into a recording studio. It's a great scene of the cat chasing the mouse. And as Gail hides away, Dewey walks in and sees her, but since it's soundproof, they can't hear each other. Ghostface begins attacking him from behind.
Hold up, pause.
We see Dewey go down for the count. We catch up with Derek. He tells Sidney bye as she and Hallie are heading off to that safe spot. As he watches them drive off, he gets grabbed by his fraternity brothers as they tie him up to a prop and begin partying. Team Sidney pull up to a stoplight, allowing enough time for Ghostface to also show up, bust open the window, and wipe out Officer Andrews. As Officer Richards gets out of the car, Ghostface then slides across the roof, kicking him. The killer starts the car and runs down Richards. He tries slinging the cop off the windshield, but he can't. They eventually crash into some poles, which goes through Richards and into the car. After realizing their situation, they are left having to crawl over an unconscious Ghostface. As cool and creative as this scene is, I'll never understand it. You have the killer right there, unconscious. Take bro out, dude. Eliminate that man. Send them packing, dude. But no, they escape and run away. But Sidney goes back to see who it is. But they aren't there anymore. They have awoken. Hallie gets grabbed and finished off. Catching back up with Gail for a second, we see her run into Cotton Weary. And believing him to be the killer, she runs outside to the payphone and calls the police. But Debbie Salt is there. Sidney makes it to the school's auditorium. The lights turn on. She's not alone. Stage set pieces begin falling down, keeping her there, which is when a sun prop comes falling down. Derek is still tied to the prop. As she tries to untie him, the killer approaches and reveals themselves to be none other than Mickey. In a last moment, he creates more distrust by calling Derek his partner. Mickey is enjoying himself. He blasts Derek in the chest, ending him. Mickey, he wants to be caught, so he can blame the movies. Sidney tries to escape by fighting with Mickey, but in the end, he stops her. Derek's body shoots up to the sky, and Mickey mentions how he did say he had a partner. And out walks Gail. But it's not her, it's Debbie Salt. Real name, Mrs. Loomis. Debbie shoots Mickey twice, and as he falls down, he shoots Gail, causing her to fall off the stage. Debbie has her villain monologue, but Sidney finds a way to escape. She starts using the set pieces to attack her. Lights are flashing, smoke is rolling, and shit's falling. What a good time. The two roll around with Debbie almost stabbing Sidney, but then a gunshot goes off. Cotton's here. After catching him up to speed a little bit, the two pitch him some ideas, but Sidney's interview wins the round. Well, I guess Debbie won the round because she took a round to the chest. They help Gail back onto the stage and look at Debbie. They always come back. Mickey bursts up, causing Sidney and Gail to light him up like a Christmas tree. Not taking any chances, Sidney pops one into Debbie's forehead. The day is saved yet again. As Gail receives aid, main man Joel comes back, but she does see Dewdrop being wheeled out and goes to him.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Meanwhile, Sidney is being hounded by reporters, but she sends them Cotton's way, as that's his endgame, that fame. The film ends with an aerial shot of the college. Sidney surviving to see another Ghostface. Scream 2 is one of the best sequels. While it doesn't surpass the original, it has added things that makes the franchise what it is today. Stab, for example. That will stick with the franchise forever. Mickey Altieri. If you have seen my old video where I rank every Ghostface, then you would know he was one of my favorites. If you haven't checked that video out, well, here it is at the top of your screen. Soon, I will have to update it, but Scream 2. It's high up there for me. I will have to rank this film a 9 out of 10. It holds its own in a franchise with mostly good films. Mostly. What did you think of the movie? What did you rank it? Before the video ends, I just wanted to come on here and say thank you. Thanks to you all, I have hit 1,000 subs. And I'm excited for the future, and I hope you all are as well. I have something special planned as a thank you that I'm cooking up, so be on the lookout. Honestly, Mickey in the film seemed fixated on the one thing, to be caught and to blame the movies. It was what possessed him. But unlike Mickey, these people living in South Korea have a whole different kind of possession story about. Click here to watch my review of The Wailing. And as always, I appreciate your time. Stay chill, and I will see you next time.
Thank you.